All right, so let's throw in new cement and high efficiency light bulbs and say we're doing ministry. Next on That's Not My God. All right, thanks for joining me for another That's Not My God. And you know, what brought this video teaching on is a video that I watched online from a church that I'm aware of, quite a few hundred people, larger than the average sized church in America, which Barna Report would say is 100 or less. And it said Outreach Ministry Excitement. So I watched it. Well, what they're celebrating is raising $200,000 to put in new cement and high efficiency light bulbs, and they're calling that ministry. I've been to this church, I've made the drive a few times, and I'm realizing what was wrong with what they had. This is no different than a church that I'm quite familiar with in a bigger city here in Wisconsin, where they spent $250,000 alone on a new fancy sidewalk leading into the church. You could buy a brick and have your name inscribed on it, and there you would have part of the church. It was just crazy. But what's wrong with churches today that we would flag that as ministry? New light bulbs and cement, and we're saying we're celebrating ministry doing that? Now, if you have a building, you got to keep it up. But there was nothing wrong with this one. It's just amazing in these areas. See, the churches that do outreach and ministry, if you'll notice something about them, they're usually a niche church. They're smaller, but they're a group of people that get it. They're not afraid to go out and help the poor, feed the hungry, give out school supplies to kids, things like that. I pastor in a rural community of 6,500 people, and our church is about 80 people. And I anticipate it not going much higher or lower than that. It's just who we are, short of something that God's going to do. But we serve and we give and we do all these things. And a lot of the churches that you are part of or other people are part of do the same thing, but they remain small. Why? Well, because it's dirty. As Mike Yaconelli, author, Christian author and youth specialist, said, it's messy spirituality. And we're not into that. As an American culture, we're not into getting into the trenches and helping people, you know, saying, hey, what can I do to help you alleviate from your bills? What can I do to give you food? What school supplies do you need right now this time of year for your kids to go back to school? You see, that actually takes some, I guess, Holy Spirit power to go up to somebody and serve them. To be in a church that celebrates new light bulbs and sidewalks is probably a church that says, hey, you know what? We just updated our cafe. We just added a new women's study. We just added a new men's study. We repainted the youth room again in the last 3 years, you know, on and on it goes. And that's what draws crowds. See, the problem is that churches that get it, and they say the doors in our church are open, not for us to just sit here, but to go out and serve and be a part of the community. The churches that don't get it say our church doors are open, you come in and be a part of what we have going on. And that is the problem. During the Great Commission, Jesus said, go and make disciples. He didn't say evangelize or do any big pizzazz wow events, you know, spend your whole budget on bringing in that guest speaker who will draw, no doubt, hundreds, if not thousands of people, only for you to gain nobody at your church. You see, churches need to understand the same means that you win people in is the same means you're going to keep them there. And so if you do big pizzazz, wow, Hillsong stuff, bring in big name speakers, extra stuff, that's what it's going to take to keep them. But if you give away pencils, give away school supplies, pray with people, give food away, help someone with bills, that's a little more sustainable, and that's how people stick around and be a part of this thing that Jesus truly calls a beautiful bride, the local church. You see, in these little churches like this, though, and big churches, it's the Pareto principle. In other words, 20% of the people are doing 80% of the work. And in big churches, it's usually the same, but it's big pockets, big givers. And so they update and they go and they do these things and they call it ministry. It really isn't. It's maintaining. Ministry is serving people. Are you part of a church building, part of an organization? Are you helping in serving and going out and being a part of the community? Or Are you just sitting there saying, yeah, this is great. I want a voice on what color paint we're going to use. I want a voice on what the cement's going to look like, all this stuff, and then calling it ministry. If we're doing that, then that's not my God. Go out and serve, make a difference, be the church to the community around you. Have a great day.